This is Startup Grind. So Startup Grind actually founded in Silicon Valley in 2010, and we have 600 over chapters around the world. And what we are focusing on is we are actually an independent community that supports startup founders, investors, innovators, and even educators as well. And this is what we normally do. We always like to share. So we learn through sharing, just like tonight, or over a panel discussion. Or our flagship program is normally a fireside chat. So we learn from sharing and dialogues as well. And we always love to make friends, and we always like to help each other. So this is what we are doing. And this is the team member that is actually for the chapter of Sarawak, which is Startup Grind Sarawak. So my name is Malcolm, and I'm actually from Kuching. And we have a team member, Jenny, who is actually based in Miri, and Nigel is actually based in Kuching. And then Kiman is actually, he's not from Kuching, but he's actually living in Kuching for more than 15 years, and he's one of the lecturers in UNIMAS as well. And a big thank you to our global sponsors for this month of June, which is the Startup Grind Women Month by Google for Startups and Silicon Valley Bank, and our local partners that support us in all our events. And if for those who want to reach out to us to get in touch with us, feel free to scan this QR code. You can write us if you have any suggestion on topics that you want to hear out, or if there's any specific question in regards to how you want to help us or want to be a volunteer with our Startup Grind Sarawak chapter, you may actually scan this QR code and just reach out to us on our social media. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier on about Startup Grind Women Month, so we are going to watch a very simple video that introduces Startup Grind Women Month.
Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Leaders Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more who represent our community all around the world. This month's SG Women Month is proudly presented by Google for Startups and Silicon Valley Bank.
Once again, we really want to thank a big thank you to 3 chapters of Startup Grind, which is Hong Kong chapter and Rajkot India chapter, and also Taiwan Taipei chapter. We really thank them for helping us to share our event and promote our event for tonight, right? And again, tonight our topic is all about embracing change and transformation, thriving in uncertainty, on the focus of hospitality industry. So with that, we would like to say a big thank you to all our guests of tonight, Gracie, Amelia, Rosemary, Donna, and last but not least, our amazing moderator, Nina. Thank you for being here and helping us to moderate this particular panel session. So we have Nina, all the way from West Malaysia, which is in KL. She's the founder and CEO of Popcorn. And we have Gracie Jackie with us. We have Emilia Rosiman. We have Rosemary Wong and Donna Drury Wee with us tonight. So, Nina, I shall pass the floor to you.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope you guys are doing great. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Now, allow me to introduce you the amazing women that we have online today. So first things first, we have Gracie Jackie, Director of Face Borneo, Sudirman Berhad. Gracie has more than 14 years experience in hospitality, tourism, marketing, hotel, and event management. Now, she served as the CEO of Sarawak Tourism Board from 2005 to 2009, and she's currently the chairperson for the Malaysian Association of Conventions and Exhibition Suppliers and Organizers, head of Tourism Committee of Sarawak Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Deputy Secretary General of Sarawak Business Federation. She's also the advisor, co-author, and author of 3 books, Rainforest World Music Festival, Sarawak Success Story, Parks and Arts Sarawak, and Rainforest World Music Festival, 20 years of song and rhythm in Sarawak. Next, another amazing woman of Sarawak that we have today is Rosemary Wong. She is the group director of the Rani and the Marian. Although she started out in the field of construction and property management, Rosemary's entrepreneurial spirit actually led her into her first hospitality venture, the Rani Boutique Suites, which is Kuching's first luxury boutique hotel and is ranked number one, not just for 1 year, but for 5 consecutive years in Kuching for the by TripAdvisor. And her second venture, which is the Marian Boutique Lodging House, was Kuching's first heritage boutique hotel restored from the St. Mary's All-Girls Boarding School, and it is more than 100 years old. So Rosemary also supports over 50 independent local and rural artisans, charities, and NGOs. And NGOs. And what she does is she helps recreate, redesign, and repackage their products, and she's able to create new demands and greater opportunities for their products to sell. Rosemary is also the treasurer of Sarawak Heritage Society and the president of Jawatan Kuasa Agro Craft Borneo, a newly formed committee to encourage the development of rural community products. Next, we have Amelia Rosamond, Acting Chief Executive Officer of Business Events Sarawak. She is one of the outstanding pioneers of Business Events Sarawak by Sarawak Convention Bureau, and she has 13 years experience in branding, marketing, and public relations, and has contributed to a total win of 15 awards for Sarawak in creative marketing campaigns. She's also assisted Sarawak in securing national and international business events over the past 10 years, translating into both economic and social impacts that cover significant ground beyond the general tourism umbrella of Sarawak. Her efforts on legacy impact has been recognized as the first of its kind within the Asian Pacific region, taking its cue from various Western case studies that seek to measure intrinsic values and impacts beyond tourism. And Sarawak has since been touted as the most progressive of the 3 destinations currently spearheading legacy impact movement worldwide. And last but not least, we've got Donna Drury. She's the director of BNDM Holdings. After winning the Best Local Cuisine Book in the World by Gourmand World Cookbook Award, Donna was invited to start the Sarawak Cultural Heritage Committee with Marian Chin, Gracie Jackie, and Datin Esther Balan. Donna is also a committee member of the Friends of Sarawak Museum, as well as Club Miraj Sarawak. Donna was also invited to be a speaker at TEDx Kenyalang in 2019, where she spoke on animals and our environment. We are all connected. So being so involved in the work of NGOs, Donna has held various and organized numerous workshops, festivals, bazaar, and international conferences, working on these events from conception to completion to evaluation. All right, so ladies, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think also a very warm welcome to our audience. We've got people tuning in from Hong Kong, Taiwan, as well as India. So welcome everybody. Now, because we've got audience from different parts of the world, before we start, Gracie, could you introduce to us a little bit about Sarawak to our guests?
Okay, thank you, Nina. Hi, everybody. Hi, greetings from Sarawak, Borneo. I'm from the events and conference industry, and we're located in Sarawak, one of the states in Malaysia. And for many of you, if you have not been to Malaysia or to Sarawak, then you're missing out on a lot of good stuff here, good food, tribal communities, and lots of fun. So we have in Sarawak, I think the state of Sarawak in Malaysia is possibly the state with the largest number of festivals. Very proud about that. We have music festivals, we have food festivals, we have arts, and I think easily over 100 festivals in a year. So I think that's something that we can be very, very proud about. We have anything on food, song, dance, rhythm. I think that brings a lot about Sarawak's culture with such a diverse, group of communities. We have 27, is it 27, Donna? 27, 28, I think, tribal communities, so with that comes a lot of rich culture. With it comes food, with it comes the heritage. And I think Rosemary is doing a lot of work on Sarawak heritage to bring out and help our local communities, to bring their art to the forefront. So I think I don't know where to start about Sarawak because there's so much to talk about. I'm sure we'll do that as we go along. Thank you.
Okay. If you do you guys have anything else to add about Sarawak?
I'm sure they have a lot. Yes.
Rosemary, Amelia, Donna?
Hi from Sarawak. Hi. We, on the contrary, we definitely do not live on treetops, as what everybody thinks. We do have treetop accommodations here, but we don't live on treetops. I think you need to come here to really experience the warmth and the hospitality of the locals here. And that was something that really struck me when I moved back here after I graduated and moved back from UK. The warmth of the people here, the genuine embrace, and the rich culture and diversity. I think it's something you can't explain until you set foot in here and you really experience it, especially when you step into a longhouse. And that is something that I have not experienced or felt anywhere in the world. Right, Donna? With the Ibans and the
Right, that's right, yeah. The Sarawakians are known for their hospitality. Yeah, and so when you come here, you get food, such an array of food, from the sago worms to food cooked in bamboo to all your Chinese dialects, and you have a spattering of Indian food. So it's all a real sort of culinary adventure, and you really need to come here if you've never been to Sarawak.
You experience it, right? Amelia, is there anything you want to add, maybe from an event point of view in your number of years organizing events?
Yeah, I was waiting for my third.
Okay.
Well, uha, everyone. And, we have a lot of clients, a decision maker, meeting planners who came to Sarawak. I think the first thing that really strike their mind, even at the site inspection phase, when they come and, check out the destination, is about the people. Because I think there's, it's about the people and how the people take care of them. Because in the business events world, being able to work with the community in the host destination is very important. Because in order to ensure the success of events, it's not just about the organizer and the supplier. It's about bringing the whole city. So Kuching, Sarawak has that, has what it takes to do that. And from there, the testimonial that we get is not just from one event. Majority of the event says because of the people. And the people also, when we talk about culture, heritage, food, and so many other things that other destinations also can offer. But one thing that I know it makes a difference to all of the visitors that has been here is the value of the community itself. You can talk about the food. The food is yummy everywhere else, but how did we come out with that food? That makes a difference. That makes Sarawak very special. And I always because business events, Sarawak, we're looking into the business side of the tourism. So, we always say this, whenever you bring your business to Sarawak, every wisdom that we learn from every tribe, the 27 tribes, it can be converted and it can be used to the business world today. It will enrich you when you come here. So that's the ending. That's how I look at Sarawak. Thank you.
Okay. So basically, when people come and visit Sarawak, they don't just go there for business. They come back with a little something with them, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
fantastic. As Jatin Kataria from Rajkot actually said, thank you so much for a beautiful introduction of, the city and the country, and he's hoping to visit you guys. Thank you so much, ladies. Now, let's go into the first questions before we start looking at what actually happened. Can you share a little bit about what you guys do and what your plans were before the pandemic actually happened and how it actually affected your business? In a way. So what were your plans? And then when the pandemic happened, how did it affect you? We can start with Gracie?
Okay, I'll start first. Um, Before the pandemic, life was going on in my what I thought was as usual. We're in the conference and events business, so we manage conferences, we run festivals, we manage and have our own festivals. And up till late last year, we were still planning for 2020. It was supposed to be the year for us in a way, because so many good things were happening, were planned for 2020. And then this thing happened, you know. And I think initially in I say in March, there was some worry in February, but I say in March that I was still, I'm sure most of us were, we were still just thinking about it, you know. It didn't, how do you call it, it didn't hit yet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And lockdown, I've been through a couple, you know, of bad times, even September 11, but I think this time it's really been shocking. It's global, so and it's not happening to just us. Just every corner of the world seemed to be affected. And it was then that we realized that there was going to be nothing to do, and you know, for this year. First I thought was be oh, maybe 6 months or so, but reality set in. And I think I had to, all of us in the company, we had to sit down and regroup our thoughts, you know. You go through the shock, but then when that numbs, you start to think what next and what to do. And of course, in the initial, I think this is the first time for a lot of countries, and for Malaysia, you read the news, it's worrying, it's scaring, you know. It was all that, you know. I'm sure all of us here went through that. But now it's June, and it's coming July, the last day of June. We've I can't say we've gone through the worst, but I think we've overcome, you know, our worst fears, you know, because it's still, the worst is, could still go on, you know. But that the fact was that you overcome your fears for your business. Am I going to survive? Am I going to be able to keep this company going? Am I able to hold it? Will I have the cash flow? Can I keep my staff? Will we have to do this and that? So I think a mixture within 6 months. We went through that 6 months. It was everything was good. We're running and getting very busy, and next thing you know was everything was shut, you know. So I think it's been a tremendous experience for me, for us in the company. And I think one of the most valuable, I know it's horrible for me to say that in this sense, but this COVID-19 has sort of made us, like in the words of our tourism minister, we need to reboot, you know. He would say we had to reboot, and I think that's exactly the good. Okay, don't get me wrong, but the good that's come out of this COVID-19 was that for many of our organizations, it was time to have a relook inside, to reset your thinking, restructure. There's all the re's that you can think of, and you had to go through that. And in the process of that, we found some useful avenues for other businesses that we wouldn't have thought of, because we were just too busy preparing, planning for 2020, you know. And then when
Mm-hmm.
all that of 2020 was gone and we had nothing, you got to look for something. And that was when we found that, hey, you know, we got this, we got that, and you know, it was resetting. So we went through we're still undergoing a restructure of the company. We've had to tighten our team. We've got about a dozen people, but because this year, and thankfully the government has come in to help, you know, just to give a short relief. Uh, so it's sort of just allows us to get our bearings, you know, get our bearings right and get on the track and say, get out of your seat, and you know, like, do something, because we can't just go on thinking about how bad it's going to be. We've just got to look on the other side and say what else is there for us, you know. So I think
Okay.
it was a mixture of both. Yeah.
Okay,
So
got it. We'll go into your new plans as a result of the pandemic and what new businesses came out. Rosemary, could you share with us, like, what were your plans or what did you intend to do? And then when the pandemic and lockdown happened, how did it affect your business and plans?
Well, coming from the hotel sector, the accommodation sector, we were
Mm-hmm.
all geared up last year through the various trade shows locally and internationally, um, from ITB Berlin, WTM London. We were already selling Sarawak as a destination, accommodations, selling Sarawak as a business events venue. We were definitely hit hard when the pandemic came. And for us hoteliers, like for the bigger hotels, they could repurpose and they house the returning, returning passengers who came back,
Quarantine.
quarantine hotels, basically.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
for hotels like us, for the boutique sector, we had no way of doing that. So, we were all geared up. This year was going to be a great year with so many events in Sarawak. Um, We've got leisure, corporate, MICE groups all booked in. We were geared up for the Rainforest Music Festival. This would be the 13th Rainforest World Craft Bazaar, which I'm a director and organizer of. And it was going to be even bigger and better. And we already had confirmed stalls coming in to do that. But when the pandemic happened, everything's been cancelled. Everything's gone down the drain. It was shocking actually. And also with the artisans that I work with in the Longhouse communities, we had a series of training sessions all set in place already for this year. And we couldn't do it. In the urban setting, you can do Zoom meetings, webinar, but in a rural context, some of them don't even have connection to internet. So handicraft training through Zoom is not possible. And that was quite sad because I think the community was really looking forward to that as well, as we had promised them last year and we had geared them up for this. So it really did hit us hard in every way.
Rosemary, could you share maybe for our viewers tuning in from Taiwan, Hong Kong, and India, they might not understand like how far are these artisans away from town and they don't have internet, right? Kind of thing.
The communities that I work with are the Iban communities. So
Mm-hmm.
the longhouses that I'm working with is from an area called Betong, which is a division in Sarawak. And under the area that I'm working in, Laya, we've got about 89 longhouses. So a longhouse is basically a series of family dwellings all stuck together, a little bit like a terrace housing, but with a common corridor. So where you would have your driveway, that's a common corridor. And you can have as many from anything from 10 doors up to 40 plus 50 doors, 50 families all sharing one longhouse. So it's about the longhouses that I'm working with at the moment. It's about 4 hours drive from Kuching and then another 1 hour drive into their longhouses. Some of them are only recently accessible by road. Previously, you could only get to them by boat.
Boats. Uh-huh. And there's no internet there?
Some areas, yes, and some areas, no.
Okay. And the only way to get to them is to actually to be physically there, which we could not do during the lockdown, right?
Yes, and I think also the thing with training and working with rural communities is they really value the actual physical and human contact,
yeah,
the one-on-one or the one with the community, rather than just doing it virtual. I don't think some of them still grasp the idea of virtual yet. Yeah.
Okay. So everything was halted, basically.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
Of course, for the urban setting, Zoom meetings still carry on, and we try to do business as usual, but it's still not the same.
Yep. Okay. Got it. Amelia, what about you? I think for you as well, everything would have halted, right? Because you're doing all these business events, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Nina, before I jump into your question, let me explain a little bit more about what we do, because I
Yes.
think that people might think that we are organizing an event and also perhaps that we own the convention center, which we are not. So, business events, we call ourselves the Sarawak in short, by Sarawak Convention Bureau. Is we are the actually convention bureau. We are the first in Malaysia. Business event consists of corporate meetings, incentive groups, conventions, and exhibitions. So we are the marketing arm for the Sarawak government, and we provide support to bid for the events together with the event planners. So what it means is that every businesses that we won, it will be distributed to the industry partners. So we don't run it ourselves. We only support and help the bidding. So since 2016, we have also expanded our operations to provide education and training to our industry partners. So now I'm going to answer your question. So
No worries.
2020 is the end of our 11 Malaysian plan. So we have a lot of plans, especially for marketing and bidding. So one of the highlights that we have in 2020 is the IMEX Frankfurt. IMEX Frankfurt is one of the largest trade show for business event sector. So the trade show was in May this year, and this is supposed to be Sarawak's very first pavilion, as well as for us to launch our new campaign and the Legacy Impact Program. So it's supposed to be a huge thing. So with the pandemic and the partial lockdowns everywhere in the world, all of our plan has to be brought forward into the 12th Malaysian plan. And the moment that the borders were closing, I think I would say pretty much the same thing what Rosemary and Megan Bracey had said. We knew that we had to brace for an unprecedented crisis. Since we are directly under the business and travel umbrella, we were hit very hard. We were all in the same storm, sailing on the different boats. And in the beginning, we were like everyone else. We felt lost, we felt fear, confusion, frustration of something that we didn't know much about and how to deal with. It was just a surreal moment for us. And in our mind, what we're meant to do next. First thing that come to our mind are meeting planners and industry partners on how their event and businesses will be affected. It was very fearful and painful time for everyone. There is only so much emotion that you can take before everything goes into overdrive and overload, but it was an overwhelming experience. But as overwhelming as it was, the team, we all put our heads together and we decided to reset. Like what Madam Gracie said, reboot. So before we began revamping our business plan, we did a lot of research, which included taking a lot of what other destinations were doing. We also enlisted the help of industry consultants and conducted a pulse survey to see where the industry stands amid this situation. A lot of destinations, they're trying to be the first to come up with the idea, the first to do this, the first to do that. But I think during this crisis time, it's not about to be the first. It's about to come up with a solution for everyone. So only then we created a strategic and tactical plan for 2020 that covers marketing and promotion, capacity building and training, and also our incentivized packages. So our incentivized packages, it does not mean a tour package. It's a package that we give out to the business event planners and also to our industry partners. So this is a time when we must recognize that the collaboration are the way forward. We know that we cannot move alone. We have to move forward with everyone, everything that we get. Industry partners, the governments, even with the business event planners. Yeah. So we also created a set of guidelines for organizing business events with the help of our, again, industry partners and government agencies. And we are feeling very good that it has been approved by the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee. So means that we can really move forward now with an event. So the event, less than 250, we can host it in Sarawak now, or even in Malaysia. And as announced by our ministers last week, business event planners and industry is also receiving a support from Sarawak government with estimated value of 1 million to help kickstart and recover business event in 2020. So, there's a lot of things that we have done. Another strategy was to see how we could accommodate our marketing plan to the current situation. And we see a lot of destinations are doing it, but I believe that, we also, our marketing plan also should be centered around empathy and attempting to lift up, to uplift spirits and boost morale with positive and hopeful messages, especially during this difficult time. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. That was very impactful. Donna, what about you?
Well, coming from, we have a restaurant, which is the Mandarin restaurant here in Kuching. And as you say, it came as quite a shock because everything started getting canceled. We're very much based on the birthdays, the weddings, the association dinners, and all this kind of thing. So all of that got canceled. And then in the beginning, we tried to sort of keep the staff on, try to do some of the takeaway foods and all that kind of thing. But it wasn't really working in the beginning because a lot of people were still not going out. We were still very worried. Everybody was scared, not wanting to go out and all that kind of stuff. So we actually had to shut down the whole restaurant for about the first 6 weeks of the lockdown. And then we were very fortunate, again, as you say, with the government subsidies, we were able to keep all of our staff on for that. From an NGO point of view, I'm also involved in the SSPCA, Sarawak Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. This is 100% dependent on public donations. So again, we scrambled to apply for whatever subsidies that the government could give. And again, fortunate that we managed to get most of the staff salaries covered, because that was something that we could not shut down at any cost. We have 400 animals that we have to care for. And so besides helping ourselves, I was also helping other animal welfare organizations in Sarawak to make sure that they had all the proper documentation so that their staff and the volunteers could continue to work. Because in any event, if one staff member gets positive, then that means that all your shelter staff are not able to work. So we have to make sure that all the volunteers and everybody else are registered, pre-registered, in case, tomorrow you have to go in and help the shelter. So we were preparing for the situation as it was, but also preparing for a worst case scenario as far as the shelter was concerned. And again, also with all the other events, everything had to be postponed. I was supposed to be organizing for Trefoil Guild. I'm involved in several NGOs. Trefoil Guild Girl Guides had asked our Sarawak chapter to host their meeting here in October, and all of these things all got cancelled as well.
I see. Okay. Going back to how early on did you guys kind of realize that, wait a minute, this pandemic is serious? Was it very early on? And how did you guys strategize, or what did you put in place? And what is your strategy? For some businesses, it's about staying afloat. It wasn't even about making money. It's about sustaining their people. What was your strategy? Was it, for you, Donna? Sorry, we're going to reverse it the other way.
Okay. For us, it was all about retaining our people. For the Mandarin restaurant, there was no question of retrenching anybody immediately. So of course, we told them all that they might expect to take a salary reduction, so up to about 20% salary reduction, because that would help us to sort of like tide over the next couple of months of uncertainty. And as I said, for the shelters and all that kind of thing, we had to change our strategy of because we usually do like adoptions, weekly adoptions, and we're very much out there going to schools and all that. So this was all shut down. And so we couldn't stay in touch with our general populace out there, our supporters. So we had to really up our game. Thank God for technology, because you just have to up your game online, reaching out to your supporters. And luckily, we've so far been able to sustain asking for things like donations of rice and basically cash donations. We really had to up our game as far as that was concerned.
Wow. Okay. So basically, you were kind of repurposing people's skills
Yeah, yeah.
towards, you know.
So like our outreach officer who's usually in the schools doing education, so now he's more learning
Calling.
how to do better videos. You know, the heart try to get some of those emotional, playing on the people's emotions to get them to come in and give us more donations and things like that, especially for the animals. I find that is the harder NGO to work with.
Okay. Well, the videos are very good. Videos are always a good skill because I know a lot of like animal adoption um, organizations. They actually do videos, and these animals actually get adopted. Each one has their own story, kind of thing.
Yeah. We were
Amelia, do you have any?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying that this pandemic pushed us, made us. We were always saying that we were going to do it, but this one really pushed us to sort of do that.
Okay, great. So, what were some of the skills that you guys learned that you otherwise would not have? Like how Gracie mentioned, it was definitely video making. Yeah. Okay, cool. Amelia, do you have anything to add, or you pretty much answered it in the last question?
How did we
What was your strategy in running the business, moving the business forward?
Well, you know, like when when the COVID hit us, so the first 2 weeks, the first thing that we do is we trying to save the business that we already have in our business event calendar for 2020. So, and then at the same time, we're still bidding for the future events, and our success rate of converting the event in our event calendar um, to postpone is around 90%. And so far, we only have one cancellation. So, you know, I'm quite happy with that actually. And I think it's also a collaboration between my team and also with the industry partners to make, you know, for us to be able to achieve this 90%
Wow,
postponement.
that's actually
Yeah.
pretty, that's such an amazing number. Is it because it was not scheduled so early on? It was towards the end of the year. Did that help?
Well, actually, you know, the most of the conference will be held around June until September. So in
Okay.
1 month, we will have at least 13 to 14 conferences going on
Okay.
in Kuching at least. Yeah.
Okay.
So now, yeah. So now most of now that 90% of that has been postponed to 2021, the other thing that we need to do is that we need to manage the existing events that we held in 2021. So you will see a lot of backlog. So we foresee there will be a more postponement in 2021 that we have to push it to 2022, because at the same time, while we are dealing with this backlog, we are still expecting a big win. Even now during this time we're still bidding. You know, it's not as much as, you know, like 2019, but the business is still keep going. And I think one thing
Okay.
that I have to agree with what Datin Donna was saying just now is about keeping in touch with, you know, with like Datin Donna is with the customer. Like for
Yes.
us, we have to keep in touch with the decision maker and the stakeholder. A
Yes.
regular line of communication is very important at
Mm-hmm.
this point of time. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a very good, important point. I think one of the terms that we use in the industry is you do not go dark. Kind of thing. You want to make sure you're still there and you're top of mind
Yes.
when people remember you. And I think everybody
Yeah.
went online, right? So you see so many
Yeah.
people creating content and stuff like that, which is brilliant.
And Amina,
Yes.
may I add into that?
Yes.
Sometimes, you know, when you are talking to your client, you know, like the decision maker, we call it decision maker. You know, you don't have to. We don't keep in touch as a. Do you have a business? You know, kind of time. Sometimes we can, you know, contribute as a friend. You know, because business event is all about people. It's all about how you connect and help each other. Our support sometimes is beyond, you know, like what business events can offer. Yeah, so I think we need to look into that because it always
Mhm.
works actually, and it's
Yes.
really changed the level of your understanding. Yeah, and also
Yeah. Which kind of goes in line with the empathy thing that you were speaking about earlier as well, right?
yes.
Yeah. And I think moving forward, I was just in another talk was moderating. So we're talking about a trust economy, which is becoming big. It's about building that relationship and having that trust with each other. And that's how the economy is going to be moving forward. That's what they say. Rosemary, do you have anything to add? What was your strategy? Was it like surviving, or was it like gaining as much knowledge as possible?
Yeah, Nina, for, as early as February, requests to postpone bookings and cancellations started coming in, followed by the end of the 14-day, minimum 14-day quarantine for any visitors coming into Sarawak. That was when we knew that, hey, this situation is real and serious. Because it was hard to predict how the situation would evolve. The relevance became an issue, especially for group bookings. Like, for example, at the Marion, we had a church group booked for a retreat from Singapore, and they had booked out the entire hotel for a couple of days. Now, when this 14-day quarantine came in, they called us and they were like, we're only there for 3 nights. How is this possible with a 14-day quarantine? Then it really hit us that, hey, this is not going to work. We tried to postpone the event, but why I say relevance is because when it's such a large group, it's difficult to reorganize and get everybody to be able to agree to a time again. Plus, they didn't even know when, neither did we. We also had to tailor emails to all parties involved, followed by personal phone calls to selected stakeholders. We tried our best from the hotel to accommodate requests to reschedule stays. We tried to avoid refunds by extending validity periods for rebookings beyond the normal team course. Basically, we tried to be as flexible as we could to accommodate all our guest requests. On the handicraft side, we had been talking about taking our handicrafts online for a while, but never really had the time to, because you get so caught up with the day-to-day running, development, and things like that. And I actually didn't realize how difficult it is to set up an online business.
It is, yeah.
No, it's not just putting photographs up on Instagram and selling it. It's not. There's so much to look into back end. And really hats off to those who run a successful internet business. But basically for the rural community craft products, the first thing we did was quickly put it on Instagram and tried to sell through Instagram, even though we didn't have an online platform, just because we felt it was important to keep the community going, because I felt will not understand why the orders would suddenly stop, or why we are no longer communicating with them, why are we not visiting them anymore. So we kept the orders going, as painful and difficult as it was for us. We kept the orders going. But in the month of May, when we put that on Instagram, so you can have a look at the Rani Artisan Gallery on Instagram and Facebook, we tried to put on as many handicraft pieces that we did with the rural community. We focused on that first. We also took the opportunity to join an online pop-up in Singapore called the One Orchard Store. One Orchard Store. And we've basically focused all community crafts onto that platform. And it's happening now, actually. So you can go and have a look as well.
Okay.
We thought we would try and put our handicrafts out to Singapore and see if it would reach a bigger target audience that way. That was very important for us, actually, for the handicrafts, really to get that momentum going, because it takes so long to build up a success story, and you can't just let go when it's on the uphill. So we had to find a way to really keep that going still.
And what are your results like so far?
We've had very good response on IG alone. So we are now working on a proper online platform.
Okay, great.
As the chairman of the Jawatan Kuasa Agrocraft Borneo, which is a newly formed committee, to basically, our hope and our aim is to drive the development of handicrafts in rural communities in particular, and then eventually also move into agro products as well. I don't mean wet produce like fish and vegetables, but more things like pepper, dried food products that would appeal to the tourism sector.
Just to share with our audience, by the way, Sarawak is one of the biggest producer of the highest quality of peppers, right, in the world?
That's right. I think we have one of the best peppers in the world.
Definitely. And their steaks are amazing. So you guys got to go there and eat.
We have a lot of really amazing products here besides our
and pineapple too, right?
And tempoyak, have you had tempoyak? That's fermented.
Tempoyak, yes. Fermented durian, it really stinks, but it's really good for your soul. Right?
Absolutely.
We just
Yeah.
had, yeah.
And tuak, which is our rice
Tuak,
wine.
yes, yeah. We have some friends making it here. There's a restaurant in front of my house, so we usually go. Yeah.
There are-
Yes, definitely. And of course, those things. What do you call those that Donna mentioned? The
Sago-
caterpillar.
the
No,
sago.
yes, sago worm. I've never tried any. I'm too scared, I think, but I think it's amazing. Yep. What about you, Gracie? What was you shared that you guys are doing something that you never thought you would? What is that? Could you share with us?
Yeah, I think just like everyone has said, I think that's exactly what is important is that the engagement process must continue and that we need to remain relevant. So I think for us, what we did was immediately, Mona went on and created a live webinar just to stay relevant. And number one, she's saying, well, we've got nothing to do anyway. So, and number two, we better stay relevant. So I think that was, and we talked about industry issues, in the business events where people from around the world joined, and so I think that was good. What I think for us was that we found that we could actually provide a lot of other services that we already had the expertise in, because as a conference organizer, we literally plan for the client from the beginning to the end, literally. And even writing press releases, even doing public launches, even press conferences, catching up, sponsorship, was like just about everything. And then we found that we could still continue to provide these services, but bite size. So we developed modular packages because not everyone wants or can afford, or they just want a smaller part. And we also rearranged our staff strengths, I would call it, because the current strengths that they have is not needed because there's nothing to do right now. There are no events. But what we did was that we rearranged and refocused our staff strengths to develop them into the areas. I'm talking future, where we develop them for bid research. So usually there are three of us in the team doing research, where we look for potential bids and support with the business event Sarawak, and we work together and find potential bids, and then we say, hey, we got this, what do you think? I say, let's go for it. And we've got bids, I think Amelia has referred, we got bids right up till for us, 2025. So we rechannel the strengths of our staff into doing something that's going to come for the future, rather than say, okay guys, there's nothing to do. So I think one of the things that we're able to do was that we are able to identify other businesses that it's not necessarily meant for a conference. I could publish a book, which we did actually last year. We published a yearbook for a ministry. I thought, why don't we go to publishing, because we have writers, we have the people in the organization. So I think we sort of like looked into other areas that could be useful now, rather than wait till the business comes and then we start active. And the one thing similar to Rosemary, like February, there was already a little bit of the worry coming in. And then in March, I saw it already. And, everybody's still worried and thinking. But what we did was we immediately shipped all the staff to go back home and just stay at home, work from home. We shut the office and we put them back at home and say, let's wait this out and see what happens, because there was no point traveling in and out, and even myself wanting to go and see a doctor, because I think there was still a lot of confusion in the early part, where even you go to the hospital, as the general hospital. And I said I want to be tested. People were confused at first, so I think it was in that stage also with the business, and I'm not sure, but all I knew was that there's going to be a lot of cancellations. So we shipped and we started to regroup, and we met on Zoom every week. We continued and we still talked and look at how we can, like I said, rechannel. Basically, I think that's what a lot of us had to do, was to rechannel our energies into what is to come, because I really don't want to talk about what there's nothing this year, this first half. So this is a renewal phase for us, where we look into and the government, I must say, our state government. I'm in the task force to help to do all these. Donna's in, Rosemary, actually all of us are in, aren't we? All of us are in the state government's transformation roadmap. So I'm glad, because they are listening to us, they're understanding what our issues are, and we're moving forward, and we're planning up to 2030, believe it or not. So it's that far down. Of course, you say, hey, what about now? But I think that is the positive thing that we need to do, is to sort of look forward. It's without doubt that some organizations will not make it, and some will make it. It's we can't save everyone, you know and I had to make that very painful decision, was whether this company survives, if we had to keep everybody, or we just shut down completely. And if we had to shut down completely, it was just cut your losses, go and let everything chill for 1 year, and then decide what you want to do. But that was not what we wanted to do. So we had to make some painful decisions, where in order to survive the company, we had to make a lot of adjustments. So I think we're in this phase now.
I see. Okay. So where you have to make difficult decisions, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. There is a question. With all the changes going on, what do you think we can expect next for the organizing of future conferences and events? Maybe let's go into, before we answer that one, with regards to health and safety precautions in moving forward, what kind of changes can we expect to see in large scale events, or that you need to put in place for your businesses? Let's
You want
start
me
with
to
you,
answer
Gracie.
first? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I think the new normal is going to be a new way of conducting business for just about almost every other business as well. And in the areas of conference and large gatherings, there are restrictions now. We've got SOPs, the state government, the federal, and our state government. They've come up with the SOPs, and we have to follow that. Convention centers, hotels, everything is in place. Now it's just marketing for when people are able to fly again. But here is dealing with change and people. For me, if you ask me if I would fly to this wonderful conference in New York in November, I would not say yes now. So I think that's the situation for just about every would-be delegate who is thinking of coming in here. So we have to deal with that. So the SOPs that are in place will not allow large gatherings, and we go by like what we read every day, social distancing and all that. So I think we're going to go through that. Uh, uh, the hygiene factors and the change of how we even greet each other. It's starting to become normal now.
Yeah.
Before you shake hands, kiss, or hug or whatever. Now it's like hi,
Use your feet, yeah, or
yeah,
you use your feet and elbow, right?
yeah, all this fun stuff. But I think we are there. And I think for Place Borneo, we came up with a little simple, very below budget, no money made to run some ads, and we just tagged it meet differently. We're suggesting meeting in the jungle, small meetings, open air. We're creating ideas that will entice more of the smaller groups, of meeting groups or high-end meeting groups. So I think, and the Convention Bureau is also imposing SOPs for everyone. So I think we are in place. For that matter, I think just about, the whole of Malaysia, everything's in place. Now is when they'll start coming back. Yeah.
Right.
All.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Rosemary, do you want to add anything to that? What do you think for hotel, basically, I would say?
We always had in our hotel, our SOPs for room cleanings and cleanliness, we've always paid attention to that, or we've always put a focus on that. Now with the MCO, of course, we've had to pay special attentions to public areas, handrails, doorknobs, things that people touch and feel in public spaces, especially. With regards to the two hotels, we decided to open the Marion first because the Marion's in a property that was built in 1885. So it's a non-air conditioned property except the rooms. The rooms are all air conditioned and en suite. But for the common areas, it's all open air and ventilated, fan ventilated. So we decided to open that hotel first because we thought that would be easier to adhere to with the SOPs, all in criteria and conditions.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to conferences and events in Sarawak, I think that early dissemination of information on events and procedures would be good to manage the expectations pre-arrival. I think that definitely precautionary measures to adhere to in line with whatever SOPs that the government and ministry has set out. For international events, I feel organizers should work with the immigration and accommodation providers to ensure a smooth check-through for any international guests coming in. And I guess care packs for each attendee is going to be the new norm, right? Masks, hand sanitizers. So I think I think we have to plan and set the expectations in whichever field that we're in, whether it's conferences, whether it's hotel accommodations. So we're trying to do that as best we can.
Okay. Are we going to be seeing some artisan handmade masks from you soon, Rosemary? You reckon?
We have a range of masks that we do. We've worked with the School for Intellectually Disabled Children, Sarawak.
Wow. Okay.
A batik mask. And it's on our Instagram. I've just shared the link with you, so please have a look.
Awesome. Sounds good. I think that's going to be something people are looking forward to.
The little batik pouches that they come in is sewn by a single mom. So we try and pick, whether it's individuals or an organization, we try and pick people that we can work with to help, especially through this time. But I think we're not the only ones producing really beautiful masks. In Sarawak, actually, there's been a lot of designers and organizations have come up with fantastic masks.
Yeah, I have a woven mask done by Tanoti.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, by Jackie.
Yeah, it makes me look like Ant-Man, so they're kind of like adjusting the design a bit.
I thought some people want to look like Ant-Man, it's fashionable, like a Marvel superhero kind of thing. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to ask you guys different questions, yeah? What, in terms of, with all the changes going on, what do you think we can expect next for organizing future conferences and events? Like, for example, do you think virtual tourism will be a thing, or virtual conferences will be a thing, or are we seeing a mixture of both? Amelia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Actually, like I've attended few sessions, and then also we have been approached by our client and a bidding of the business also. We see that conferences has come up with a different concept. So it can be like, although the congress can be, let's say, can be in Taiwan, however, the regional hub of that congress can be everywhere else. It can be in Malaysia, it can be in Australia, it can be in New Zealand, and etc., etc. So now the way of organizing a world congress is different. It's no longer about, like everyone else will come to Taiwan. But, for the region in Malaysia, they can go to, for example, if Kuching Kuching, the capital city of Sarawak, it won the bid. So the regional hub will be in Kuching, Sarawak. So we see that there's a new way of organizing a conference now. So, although with the border, a lot of international border are being closed, this include Malaysia, it doesn't stop the congress and the business to still going on. You just need to find a different way how to tweak it. So it's same goes with the events. Some of the countries, like Malaysia, we say that, no event more than 250. So what happened is that this festival, it consists of, it's been break down to 5 different events concurrently. So, like it's quite unique on how they put it together. So what I'm saying is that, and the hybrid event, I mean, I'm in the business events. I believe in face-to-face meeting, and I want to keep it that way. But I hope that the virtual and the hybrid will enhance the experience, but not to replace it. But when you talk about other events, there's a lot of way to do it, and we can see a lot of examples are going around right now. Yeah. So what next for organizing or the future and conferences of event? I think I say, we just need to find a different way, different concept, different format. At the same time, use the technology to enhance the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, have the best of both worlds. Yeah, I love that. And like, I can't wait for the VR and AR aspect to become even more like a normal thing, kind of thing. Yeah.
Really?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm a sucker for tech.
I want to see you in person. I don't want to see you in AR or VR.
If I can't travel, I'd like the VR version, but I still love the real thing.
Yeah, that's one thing that actually I want to add on what Rosemary and Gracie was saying just now about the SOP and so on. The other thing is that we also need to start traveling in Malaysia. We're going business events Sarawak. We're going to have a road show in other cities like Cebu and Miri to show that what are the SOP that in place, because we want to build confidence. If we do not want to travel, we cannot expect other people to travel. So
exactly.
We need to set example. Yes. Yeah. I'm really looking forward for next month to travel to Cebu, to Miri, enjoy the food, explore the culture again, look at the tourist attraction, and also, of course, to meet the industry partners.
Of course, that's the most important thing. Donna, somebody else is asking about, I believe, working from home. It's become quite a norm during the MCO, but it can also be adopted beyond the lockdown. What do you think? And could this work for any industry? Maybe not for F&B?
Yeah, I think for F&B
or the SPCA.
although we have a lot of friends here who have actually done quite well. When you do your takeaway, they actually throw in a pint of Guinness or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
But, yeah, that's right. So I think for tech people, it's a lot easier. Even graphic designers, like some of the graphic designer for our calendar, we managed to work with her online. She was in New Zealand for a time.
Wow. Okay.
So it just depends on what industry. Like Gracie was saying, writers and publishing, you could actually work from home. But there are definitely certain areas which it just would not be possible. And plus, I think besides working from home, and we're all social beings, we still need to meet, and it's a lot different. I was listening to one speaker the other day who was saying that, like, they held the Canton Fair in Guangzhou, and they had a record number of like 150,000 participants online. But out of that, only 3 MOUs were signed. So it's very different, So there are, like Anidia says, there has to be a hybrid where you could probably do the actual meeting, and then sort of like those who can't fly in, then they would be able to do by virtual or Zoom. But so some things can be done from home, and then I think there's actually a lot of people who now find that they do prefer working from home because you don't waste time commuting and gives you a lot more time with your family. Yeah.
Apparently, the data that I got from today's session that I had in the morning is that if you work from home, you're actually giving in 1 day, 1.5 day, you're working 1.5 day more in a month. So it works for the companies to have their staff work from home. Although I don't recommend it for FMB and
No,
the RSPCA kind of thing. Yeah?
no. Yeah.
Okay. In the context of Sarawak, what types of support is needed to revive the industry or to kickstart it? Do you guys reckon? I'll go back to Gracie.
Money,
Money. I like that. Straight to the point.
lots of money.
Yep.
I think basically what needs, this whole industry need, the kickstart would be just getting things going. I know our state government is careful, very careful. I think Sarawak was very fortunate that we imposed a lot of things way before other states, or, and even other countries, and it's shown, that our numbers are well, okay. But I think what we need to do, and what needs to be done, is that we've got to start sometime. And of course, when is the right time, we're waiting. And I think we've waited this long, and I think it's just around the corner. It could be July, it could be August, or September. So I would say that there is a need on a much smaller scale, if it has to, that the economy, the things got to start moving now. I mean, you're getting a stimulus and you're paying, but it's not going anyway. So we've got to start this machinery. We've got to start oiling it. We've got to start moving it, maybe slowly chugging along. And then when, hopefully a vaccine is found, that people feel safer, people feel less frightened, about attending events, big scale events and all that. So I think it's that momentum that we need. We can't immediately jump to something big. The big events, you got to start small, and 250 is the cap. They're capping it. Start at 250. Ensure that all the precautionary measures are in place. We've got it already. We're ready to start, but we just need to make sure. My only concern now is that, because if you talk about live events where you have festivals, music festivals, is that we're not able to bring in the international artists, because they won't fly in. And number two, we don't want them to fly in, and we don't know, we can't guarantee that they won't get it, So we're doing a mixture of both. We're going to continue with, we're going to start our music festival end of this year, Miri Country Music Festival. And we're going to have, I think it's two, I'm not sure how many bands, but maybe one or two bands from Nashville, from overseas. They will perform live, so we'll have a mixture. So we'll still have the crowd, the local crowd, and whoever wants to attend, and then we'll have bands, but we'll have international bands on screen live. I mean, virtual time, or how I'm like just thinking of that's the best way. It saves us a lot of money flying them in and all that. So we could actually pay them more for their fees. So that's what we're going to do, is that we're going to turn a disadvantage into
advantage.
And and the viewers and the audience will still get to see a band, but at least know that we're not bringing a lot of this fear of having foreigners coming in, and right now. So I think what needs to be done is that we need to start this machinery moving. We've got to start somewhere smaller, and start to move on, so that by the first quarter of next year, the machine, or you start moving on. And I think you start to see a healthy come back to life. Many especially food and beverage suppliers, the supply chain is very badly affected. Once a business events industry declines, the whole supply chain is affected. That means the hotel, the tour operators, the printers, suppliers, the F&B, the caterers, everyone is affected. So we've got to start small, maybe a small symposium or meeting for 100 people, that will still get something moving until such time, that we are able to do bigger numbers. So we got to start.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, last question, and this one goes out to everybody, starting with Donna. If you could give one advice to businesses out there in your industry, what would it be? with respect to running your business during these uncertain times? This is unprecedented, right? So let's start with Donna.
Well, I think like what Gracie was saying, you need to start small. So like with the SOPs now, I mean, especially in the restaurant, we have to follow the guidelines. And we're very happy now that at least with a Chinese restaurant, you have a table for 10. And at one stage, you're only allowed to seat 4 people. So now they allow you to join the 2 tables. So you can actually get 2 tables where you can get a table for 10 people. So starting small, promoting locally, I think all of us need to remember that we need to go out and support all our local artisans, as Rosemary was saying, like people who are producing, and also local tourism. Like I put a challenge to my family. I said, okay, we probably won't be traveling outside of Sarawak this year. So let's support local tours, local guides. And the challenge is, let's visit every national park there is in Sarawak. There we have lots of different fort trails. You can pick your food trail. So you can pick anything and just follow that all throughout Sarawak. I sad to say, I have not been to Mulu yet. You've always like, yeah, I'll go next year. So I think, probably this year will be the year that we actually get to go to Mulu. So start small, start local, and really just have to get yourself out there visibly online. Yeah, so that's basically, because now everybody knows, everything is online.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. What about you, Amelia? What's the one advice you'd give to businesses out there?
I think that's one thing that I learned from, this panel today. It's that something about, the light at the end of the tunnel. If we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, we find a way of moving that tunnel. And if that tunnel is too big for one organization to move, collaboration is the key. We all going to move that tunnel. If that tunnel doesn't work, we find a different light. So, I think one thing that we all share here is don't give up. There's always a way to achieve our objective. Yeah.
I like that. If there's no light, move the tunnel. I love that. Right? Rosemary, what about you?
I think it's easier said than done, but definitely we need to stay positive and be prepared to repurpose and readapt our business to stay afloat. I think the time is now to support local and support small businesses. If you're going to have to put your money somewhere, please support local and support small businesses, because they are the ones who really need you more than anyone else at this.
Okay.
So,
okay, fantastic. What about you, Gracie? Last one.
I'm going to repeat what everyone said, because that's exactly what I was going to say. So, support local, go low. I think that's exactly what we're doing, what we want to do. I think Amelia, through the Convention Bureau, they're going to support the local industry organizers to come out with homegrown events, and I'm really looking forward to that, because we can come up with a lot of smaller size homegrown events, and that we can develop so that when bad things happen, at least we've got the smaller events to fall back on. We've got things that we can grow and we can develop, and it can grow globally. So I think I agree totally. Support the local industry, support our tourism. We're going into domestic tourism, and shame on some people who haven't been to Mulu. So I think it's the time is now. So I think we've got to get started. Whatever small is the scale, one step. And if you can't see the light, then you buy a new torchlight. Change your battery. Whatever you want to do, I think that's what it is. There's no such thing as no or gone or dead. Otherwise we won't want to talk today. But I think we're always evolving, and sometimes, like I said, this COVID-19 has got me to, sit back. I really fell back in my seat and start thinking, what in heck happened, and then you start digging into your brains or recesses, because we are all survivors. So that instinct to survive kicked in, I think, for every one of us, for businesses, even for families. What next? And I've never seen so many people doing gardening, cooking, bakers. Everybody knows how to cook, how to bake. They're planting vegetables. They're selling. They're selling me a mint plant. Before we were just talking about, when's the next event. So now everybody's becoming very, very good right in the backyard.
Yeah.
We all tried to grow algae.
Yeah. My grandma started growing tauge. I love it. Okay, thank you so much, ladies. That was really, really inspiring. So if I were to summarize everything, then I would say that when a crisis happens, pause, take a deep breath, and kind of look for opportunities, because I think Winston Churchill once said that don't let a good crisis go to waste. That's what he said. There's opportunity in there. And also, when a crisis happens, don't go dark. Empathize and communicate with our stakeholders. Keep in touch, because in a time of uncertainty, people are looking for certainty. And the best way you can provide certainty is by communicating, over communicate if you must, with your stakeholders and your customers. Also, start small. Start local, support local, and get yourself visibly out there. But most importantly, start, right? Because that kickstarts things. And of course, last but not least, find the light at the end of the tunnel. If there's no light, either you move the tunnel or get a new torchlight and collaborate with your team, with the people around it. I love it because it reminds me of like electricity. It didn't come from revolutionizing candles. It was about finding a new tunnel, right? It was about moving the tunnel basically towards the light. So thank you so much, ladies.
Nina,
Thank you.
I think we should have given a shout out to our local Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Sarawak, because they reached out to private sector, industry players, NGOs, associations, societies. They formed the Sarawak Economic Action Council, all of which we are all members of. And they've been talking to industry about putting our heads together and moving that tunnel, basically, post-COVID. So kudos to them, and also the Sarawak Tourism Board for doing that.
Yeah. I have to say, because I'm listening that there's this support, not just in terms of money, but almost like a council, an action council for you guys to take advantage to kind of come together and do something, which I'm not hearing on this side of Malaysia. So good job for your minister and the team there.
Yes, I think the whole Sarawak government, when the incentives and all that first came out, I think Sarawak was the first one to come out. My husband said he had business people in West Malaysia who said they wanted to migrate here.
Wow. Okay, there you go. So good job, you guys, teaching us on the west side. Okay, there you go. Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of the panel. I'd like to invite Malcolm back, because we're now going to go into a different section, right?
Hello, everyone. I'm back. It's really an honor and a great pleasure to have all of you here sharing this particular discussion. There's a lot of things that we have learned, we have heard from all of you. Before we, I think it's quite heavy, so let's lighten it up a little bit before we wrap up the whole event. So this is a rapid fire session. So I'm going to ask 3 or 4 questions very quickly. So hopefully you all can just answer without any much thinking, right? So what would be the last book that you have read? Anyone can answer. Which is your last book that you have read?
Dealing with difficult people.
That's a good one.
Becoming by Michelle Obama.
Wow, that's a good one.
Reading that as well.
I tell you, I'm rereading Blue Ocean Shift. And you know why? Because I'm just trying to, like Amelia said, trying to find that little light. So I reread. So it's a bit heavy, but because I've read it before, so I recommend you guys to read it. Blue Ocean Shift, looking for your blue ocean.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Nina?
For me, I kind of read a lot on the net, so it doesn't really count, I guess. But if there was any book that I love, it would probably be Andrew Matthews' book, Being Happy, because it talks about looking for answers in the right in front of you, kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
But for business, I mean, if there was a book, there's no book, I would recommend the movie Joy, which stars Jennifer Lawrence. That's like epic. Yeah, kind of thing.
All right.
Emilia?
As myself, yeah, I'm reading The Passion Economy by Adam Davidson. Because for me, the passion economy is about like your passion and you making money out of it. So you're not having a pressure of working to make money, but because out of your passion. So when at times like this, it always go back to the origin, the root, why you do what you do. So this book always reminds me of that. It's not about much of making money, but the passion. I want to see the changes that I can make to my state. Yeah, through what I know the best. Hopefully, I know the best. I'm still learning. It's a secret.
Nice one. So next question, very quick one. So after this whole MCO, when you all can travel, let's say we can travel within Malaysia, all right? So now we move a little bit. Just now someone mentioned about Sarawak. So let's say once the MCO is being uplifted, which part of Sarawak, any one of you that want to travel to?
Which part of Sarawak?
Yeah.
Of Sarawak.
No.
You can
I have to go to Mulu.
Back to
Kuching.
Barrio, the Highlands.
Sorry, Rosemary?
Barrio Highland. It's so serene up there. And the food up there is amazing. The best pineapples in the world.
Wow. Are you from Barrio?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But you've got to go. Every year they have this food festival called the Pestanukanan. And it is amazing. You have to go.
I have a bottle of Barrio pineapple jam in my fridge.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. My ex-boss was from Barrio.
Pineapple. Yeah.
Emilia?
Well, I've been to most all of the places. So I've been to Mulu, I've been to Barrio. I want to find a place where people have not explored it yet, and I know Sarawak has a lot of those places, those waterfalls, those villages where it's unspoiled yet. I think I'm just gonna pack my stuff, walk in the jungle, and hopefully someone will find me if I get lost, and find these places.
Gracie?
Because Donna mentioned it, and she's just been there, and I thought I would do that. Go to Lundu. You were there last weekend, because I've been there a while ago. I do like that part of the seaside, so that's something. I've been to about all the places. Yeah. So
Kuching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind Sarike because of that thing that you gave me.
Oh,
Malcolm. The tom yum.
Coconut tom yum.
Yeah, that was so good.
Oh, sorry.
With the big head
Yeah.
prawn.
Yes. Right on top.
Right.
Nina, you should go to Sarike. Sarike is where I'm from. I grew up.
Oh,
in
really? I
Sarike.
love it.
Yeah. You should try the pineapple there. The best pineapple is from Sarike.
Okay. That one Malcolm didn't give me.
No, the time was too short at the time because Nina was in Sarike for she's running
One
a
night.
workshop in Sarike. Yeah, one night.
Yeah.
One night.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Well,
last
if
question.
you ladies come over,
Yes, Nina?
yeah, if you ladies come over to Nanjong, I'll get my friend to take you on the heritage trail, okay? In KL.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
because she came up with the trail, yes.
Sure.
All right. So now, last question. When I mention the word fruit, what comes into mind?
Food.
Durian.
Panso.
Fruit or food?
Fruit.
Fruit.
Buah.
Wah.
Buah.
What comes to
Buah
mind?
tambui.
Watampoi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
what's Boy?
It's a jungle fruit.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard, it's orange and hard on the outside, and the inside pulp is a yellow
Bit white.
pulp.
White
Yeah,
pulp as
some
well.
white to yellow.
Oh,
And it's,
isn't that the one,
sour.
not the salad, yeah?
No,
No.
not
Oh,
salad. No.
Okay.
Gracie?
when I say durian in Sarawak, the durian here is buah isu and buah pakan, which is like bright red color and bright orange in color.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a full tree in my garden.
Wow.
I
Okay.
had durian immediately, but I don't really eat the durian. But when you asked me, and somehow durian came to my mind, but I don't
Okay.
I
quite
think it's
eat it.
because Sarawak has so many different varieties of durian, like
Yeah.
really a lot of different types of durian.
Delicious
The
one.
best is durian kampung.
Yeah. So
Do they
Nina, what
taste
about you?
different? A fruit bat. Don't ask me why, because I was just watching a video about a fruit bat and how it was a pet and how funny it was. The way the lady, the owner described it. Yeah. So a fruit bat.
Okay, so with that, I think once again, thank you everyone for the time that you spent with us.